Bang, bang. Welcome to the Spartan Way podcast.
Woo!
I got my man, Nelson Victorio over here.
Thank you for having me here, Alex.
Now, this is going to be a good one. The goal here is to fully understand the evolution of Nelson, what it took to get where he's at now, and then where he plans on going. So I know there's going to be a lot of nuggets along the way. And I wanted to go ahead and start at the foundation, because some of this stuff I've just started learning on your trip here in Miami about your background. I found fascinating what's led to you in sales and a lot of the people on your team and other teams in sales recently over in Texas. So I would love to start off by just walk me through a little bit what it was like growing up as Nelson.
So from the very beginning of my life.
From the very beginning.
Ooh, we going way back.
Yeah, hit me with what it was like growing up. Like, what was in your mind? What was around you in your environment?
Okay, so first things first, I do want to say thank you for having me here. And this is my first ever official podcast, so let's go. I did it with Alex Smith.
Rock and roll.
All right, some background. I'm from Aguascalientes, Mexico. It's like central Mexico. Most people know like Guadalajara, Jalisco. That's more popular. So if you know that area, that's where Aguascalientes is at. I was born there. My family brought me over for a better life, for better opportunities at the age of 4. And very, very humble beginnings. My family used to live in a super small house. I actually went on Google Maps one day, and because I don't remember how it looks, I just have little flashbacks. I remember,
it probably looked a lot bigger back then.
Yeah, it looked bigger. I remember going on, seeing myself from a faucet, in the mirror, I'll be like, it's a mirror, So I remember things like that, but I really wanted to see how it looked. Super tiny house. I remember that address because I've always had really good memory. So my parents made me memorize a song to be able to know that, that if I ever got lost, that I could find my way back home, or at least tell somebody to help me find my way back home. So I looked it up, very tiny house. And they came here. We lived in apartments growing up, very low income area apartments. But I saw my mom and dad just working. There was a lot of, family problems all the time. So I grew up in an environment of love, but then also problems, and then also hard work. So I saw a little bit of everything. And my wife knows this a lot, but she says that, or I tell her when she asks me, how do you know, or how do you know to act this way? Or she's like, who taught you this? I know your dad didn't teach you that. Because I tell her, the background of my family and how my dad was, how my mom was. And it was a lot of learning about how to live life by seeing what I didn't want to do, how I didn't want to act, how I didn't want to react, how I didn't want to live life. So I was always thankful because my parents taught me always be thankful for food, always be thankful for shelter, always be thankful for anything because God provides, and just work. If you work hard, you'll be able to provide for yourself, for your family, and just work hard. So I grew up moving. I went to 5 different elementary schools, 3 different middle schools, and 2 different high schools. Dang. That just goes to show how much we moved. And the reason why is because a lot of the times they couldn't make rent. So we had to move because they were going to kick us out. And we moved to another place that start fresh. Back then it was much easier. They didn't ask for down payments and stuff like that, especially in the low income areas. Right. Or let's say rent was $1,200. You only had $800. You couldn't make it. So it was better to go pay a smaller down payment to get 2 extra months for free or stuff like that. And I remember just listening because I was always very observant, always observing, always just observing. And that's how I learned. So I guess maybe my ability to learn, because I consider myself a fast learner, was from just always observing.
And real quick on that too, because everyone loves a good come up story. Everyone loves someone starting from humble beginnings. In fact, most of the top producers in this world started from pretty humble beginnings. But you said something that stood out to me, which was you learned a lot of what not to do, what you did, who you didn't want to be, who you didn't want to act like. What were some of those things that you learned along the way? Because oftentimes people end up becoming what they don't want, right? And then it sounds like you actually recognized it and put it to a corner, that's what I'm not going to be like, which is just as valuable as what you're going to become sometimes. Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard this before, but people say that you can take 2 different approaches. You can have the same life as your sibling, but one sibling is going to take what happened as a reason or as an excuse. And then the other one is gonna take it as like, this is why I need to succeed. So one is gonna be like, well, the reason why I can't be successful is because my dad wasn't there, because this or that, because they weren't able to support me to go to this or to go to college, or they weren't able to give me the life that I wanted. So that's why I'm gonna, not be successful. And the other one is like, well, because my parents weren't able to do that for me, I'll be able to do that for myself, and I'm gonna work harder, because that's just how it is. That's how life works.
And when you were growing up with your parents working super hard, right? It sounds like they probably had multiple jobs, different jobs, a lot of change.
Yeah.
Did you find any stability at all growing up, or was it constant change and getting used to the change?
So constant change and constant, I guess, just having faith, because sometimes we didn't know if we were going to have enough food. So, you know what? The reason why I grew closer to God as in my spirituality is because people from church, like there was this lady, her name was Miss Joyce. When we lived in some apartments, she would have this little camp during the summertime, and she would have snacks. She would have like hot Cheetos, the good snacks that I would never be able to get otherwise. So I got closer to, I guess, having a relationship with God because of this lady, and mainly because of snacks. I just wanted snacks. I couldn't get that. It was a luxury. McDonald's was a luxury. All of this was a luxury. And if I ever wanted something like that, sometimes I would ask, and no, there's food at home.
And then growing up, you got closer to God. You got closer to your faith, which I see now too. Like you're super grateful for everything. You're super grateful for everybody, which is actually rare. A lot of people don't say thank you anymore. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't show appreciation for people that helped them anymore. So it's always refreshing finding people like me and Jess talk about it all the time, because she runs a big team. I have a pretty large company. Yeah. And there's so many people that will take, and they'll never show any appreciation for anything. But every time I've been around you, or giving you any support in any way, you've always shown a ton of appreciation, which makes me want to double down more. But do you feel like that part of it, the gratitude, came from your faith?
Yeah, gratitude. And my mom was always like, if anybody gives you anything, like don't ask for it, but if they give it to you, be super thankful, because they didn't have to. Mm. So my mom taught me how to love on others, how to see the best in others, because she would see the best in my dad all the time, way too much. I would say, I always say this when I share about like growing up with my father. He gave me a lot of love, but then also a lot of like hard discipline. Yeah. He would always incentivize us to take school serious, though. Always be disciplined with I think that's where I got discipline through him. If you didn't know your time, I was in first grade and I had to learn my times tables. Otherwise, if you came back from work, he asked you what's 5 times 5. You didn't know what it was. Whooping.
So that works. You got motive from the reward and motive from the punishment. Yeah. Both are pretty effective.
Yeah. So I'm thankful for how I grew up. A lot of people would say, hey, I had a horrible dad. He would like hit me all the time, and I liked the tough love, because it showed me how to take toughness. Mm-hmm. And when life gets tough, well, I got to be tougher. So yeah. And
I was gonna say, and growing up too, you learned a lot of discipline. Mm-hmm. You learned gratitude. You learned faith. Yep. And then when did you start to apply that? Because I know about your dancing background. Yeah. But when did you start to apply that and find success outside of school?
So whenever I graduated, right? Well, outside of school, you could also say sports. Right. I always played soccer. I always played football. I was always involved in the sports. So I exercised my discipline and my desire to get better at whatever it is that I was trying to accomplish. That's where I was able to exercise. But outside of school, I just thankfully got introduced to sales right when my adulthood really took off. When I was 18, outside of school, just graduated. That same summer is when I did my first ever door-to-door sales gig.
What was the first door-to-door sales gig?
So we were selling energy contracts. So instead of solar, it's similar to it, where you come up to somebody, you want to give them a better electricity. As a matter of fact, Roy, he started with me, like one of the first people that I ever brought on because of that, the dancing scene. And we used to be cadets. We used to be dancer for quinceañeras. We would go break it down, you know.
Yeah, rewind. So before 18, selling energy door to door.
Yeah.
What were you and the boys doing to make money? Because I found this interesting because I always talk about where you recruit people from, right?
Yeah.
Like in hospitality. I was a bar manager, bartender at college.
That was your recruit.
Normally people in hospitality tend to be pretty good in sales, right? They've dealt with a lot of people. They have a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Yada, yada. They're able to work a lot of hours for not as much. And it sounds like you found your own little pool.
I did.
I've never heard of this.
So when I was a freshman in high school, and I always loved dancing. That's one thing. My mom and dad, they would break it down. You know, if we had a family gathering, it didn't matter if they were freaking yelling at each other 10 minutes ago, they would break it down on the dance floor. So I grew up with a lot of music, a lot of, Hispanic families. They always play music out loud when they're cleaning. A lot of people can relate to this if they grew up in a Hispanic household. So I grew up with a love for music, and dancing was one of the things that my mom did. She was a Zumba instructor. So that's how she would make her money. She has a crazy story.
That's the workout, right? The Zumba was the workout dance. Okay.
So she was actually 300 pounds in Mexico. She was 300 pounds, bro. 300, imagine that. And she came to the United States. Even her story, I actually, for the first time a couple months ago, I sat down with my mom and I was like, tell me your story. I don't know what your story is. And she told me that in Mexico, that everybody doubted her. Oh, you won't be able to go. Why would you go? You're not going to be able to go to the United States. Like, stop dreaming about stuff like that. That's never going to happen. And she made it happen. So maybe that's where I get my grit from. Like, when somebody doubts me, I'm going to show you.
Turns you on.
Heck yeah.
Get you going.
Yeah. So that's how she got into Zumba, into dancing, because she wanted to lose weight and she wanted to do it doing something that she enjoyed, which was dancing.
Actually lost weight doing it.
She went down to like 180, from 300 to like 180. So
I never thought, by the way.
Yeah.
I owe an apology to Zumba. I remember growing up thinking, "There's no way,
bro."
I would see the classes going on, and I was like, "There's no way."
Have you taken one?
No,
dude. It's tiring.
But now I got a testimony.
Yeah. So pretty much, that's how I got into dancing, and I went to a quinceañera one day, and I saw this group of boys dancing as a performance for the event. So I was like, I want to do that. That seems fun. I didn't even know there was money involved with it. So I hit up the manager on social media. I hit up his name's Nelly, and I told him, hey, like, how do I join? So he sent me the address. I pulled up, and I started dancing with them. And come to find out that you get paid $200 per performance. So I was making like $300, $400 a week, having fun. So as a teenager, that's good money. Most teenagers aren't working. They're just doing whatever they're doing. But I was having fun building relationships, building connections. And so that became, whenever I started sales, one of the biggest places where I would recruit into sales, because they had like the charisma, they had the confidence, they danced in front of crowds, and they had the energy, and so they looked good. They were sharp looking, because if you're a cadet, if you're a dancer, you got to look good, you got to dress good, you got to smell good. And in sales, it's a big part of how you get a good sale. You just be sharp, look sharp, speak sharp, have confidence.
And so your transition was at 18 years old. What convinced you to go door to door? Because I feel like what convinces everyone to get in sales is different, and then especially the door to door factor.
It didn't take much, bro. It just took, hey, you can make $1,000 a week, and if you do this, it's as easy as just going to talk to people. I was like, so you're telling me if I go talk to people, I make friends, I knock on doors and walk, I can make $1,000 a week? To me, that was like, at first I didn't believe it. Yeah. Because I was working at Domino's, I was working at Sonic during the final years of high school. So I was at Sonic, they used to pay me $4 an hour. $4.
Stacking cash.
and I remember when I first got my first ever check, I thought it was, damn, $300. Let's go. And so I was grateful even then. Yeah. But then one day, like a couple of months in, so you go car hopping. So you go, the reason they pay you $4 an hour, because if you're a car hopper, you're supposed to get tips. But nobody tips the guys, they tip the girls. So I never got tips. So I was just getting stuck with $4 an hour, still car hopping. And so
brutal.
Yeah. So then I had to do an upgrade and switch to Domino's. Had to upgrade.
Domino's is pretty good.
So at least I got free pizza. I would get free meals. And that they would pay me, what, $8 an hour there. And then I got a cashier job at a real soccer center area. So I was not doing anything special, I felt. So I was like, why not? What do I have to lose? You're telling me if I try this out, I could potentially make $1,000. And the guy that recruited me, he had like some nice jewelry on, you know. So I was like, why is this guy got jewelry? He doesn't look special, you know. Why can't I have jewelry? And so I came in with the mindset of if he can, I can.
Yeah.
If they can, I can. And that's what I've taught everybody that, you know, comes in. You know, I'm no more special than you are.
Yeah, that mindset's everything. When I first got in the industry, it was because somebody hit me up over summer. I had one semester left. I had no jobs lined up. All my friends already had jobs lined up because I just wasn't showing up to interviews. I wasn't getting to the next step because I just didn't take any of it seriously or think any of it was exciting. And then someone hit me up and said they made $10,000 their first month selling solar in California. And this was 7.5 years ago before anybody talked about it. And then I was like, okay, well, how does it work? And obviously there's the door-to-door aspect of it. But then really it was like, well, what does the product do? Like, how does the product help the consumer? How do you sell this thing and who wants to buy it? Yeah. And he was like, your job is to talk people into spending less money on a bill they can't cancel.
Absolutely.
Become owners instead of renters. And then get paid thousands of dollars in the form of a tax credit for doing the right thing for the planet. And then he kind of broke it down, like really how it worked. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so this means I'm making 6 figures my first year. So I just, like you said, if he could do it, there's no reason I can't do it. Yeah. I remember my first day on the doors with him. I was like, I'm going to smoke his ass.
I know.
I immediately thought, I was like, he's toast.
Whenever, you know what I mean? Whenever I shouted for the first time, I'm like, this guy sucks. I could do better.
By the way, it seems like everybody that's made it big in this industry, their first thought on the door was like, it's not in a malicious way or a put you down way, but in our own heads, we're like, I got you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even need any more time. Like, put me out there. I understand what you're doing and I can do this a little bit better. Yeah. But it sounds like you got motivated by the same thing, which was if he's doing it and finding success, I could do it and find success. And then the door-to-door part wasn't even a concern or a fear.
I'm willing. It's work. Yeah. Go work. So transitioning into door-to-door was super easy because as a cadet, right, while I was still working in Domino's, right, whatever, it was kind of like a part-time job.
By the way, I love the word cadet. It just reminds me of Cadet Kelly. Yeah.
So we would always drive, you know, in a SUV, like 10 cadets, you know, on the way to a quinceañera with suits on in the freaking heat. Sometimes the AC wasn't working, so we were all sweaty, you know, get out the truck and go co-perform, you know. But it was fun. It was. Now that I look back, I'm like, that was so fun. Yeah. And you just go out and perform. You got like little girls. I mean, obviously we were young and they were young, right? But you got the girls screaming for you, so you feel cool and everything.
You're a rock star.
We were a rock star. We were a rock star in our area.
Not a bad gig to get paid at a young age. Feeling like a rock star.
People asking you for pictures, and you know, so it's cool. You get a little bit of social media. We would do photo shoots. So I liked the I guess the environment, you know. So transitioning into sales, we would do the same thing. You know, we would drive around all the time. We have fun. You know, you go in and you compete, and you just do things as a team. And so I've always been like very team oriented. I like being in the mix.
And did you find a lot of success right away, or did it take you a little while to pick it up?
So again, I feel like I'm a fast learner, and I've embodied being a fast learner. I've always said I'm a fast learner. And it goes to show that what you declare and what you truly believe, that's what it is.
Hey, that's good, man. 100%.
I've always believed that I'm a fast learner. So what happens? I learn fast.
It's so true, because you pick up those people that always talk about how long it takes them to get it down, but they're going to get it down. It's like, you're always going to prolong this by believing this is going to take a while to get it down.
I'm a slow learner. That means that it's going to take me longer, but I got it. Yeah. I mean, I like it. Yeah. Believe in yourself that you're going to get it. But if you're already saying it's going to take you long and you're willing to go through it, well, go through it at least. You know, you're going to make it happen. But for me, I'm a fast learner.
So you found success pretty quick?
Yeah. So I got dropped off my second day after shadowing, second day, go kill it.
Same.
I was like, all right, cool. You know, knock on doors. It took me a while to get familiar with the system, but I made it happen. My third day knocking, I got 3 closed deals. So after I got the 3 closed deals, I still didn't believe the possibilities, But I kept on. I was like, all right, let me just keep going, right? All these people, I saw a group of 50 guys bought into this. I'm like, there's got to be something here.
And how much were you making per sale on
about
average?
about $175 to $200. So if you stacked up 12 of those a week, you got a $2,000 check.
Yeah.
So I stacked up like about, I would say like 10, 12. Like I would think it was 12 and then 3 canceled. So I made $1,600. And to me, that was a lot of money.
Yep.
To me, I guess now that would be maybe making a Bain check. You know, 20,000. Obviously, like
it's all relative.
Yeah, like now 20,000 is a lot, but back then, like in a week, 20,000 is in my maybe for you, man. You're like 20,000.
No. When I got in the industry, when I got to 10 grand in my bank account, when I got to 10 grand in my bank account, I thought I was the wealthiest person in the world. And I was like, there's no way I could do anything I want.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm good. And then you realize you got to keep working, and spending doesn't match up too well with it.
Where's my phone? So I have this video that I made when I was 3 weeks in, and I was like, I was 19. I was like, I just became a salesman. I have the best opportunity that I've ever had in my life. I don't care if it takes me 10 years. I'm going to make $150,000. And I was like, I have $1,000 in my checkings and $500 in my savings. I thought I was balling, bro. I was like, I'm balling right now. Where's my phone? Let me share this video. Let the camera listen to this video. I could pull it up real quick.
And when you were getting your first couple checks, were you calling all your family? Were you telling everybody about it?
So the first person I told was my now wife, and I flexed my money. I was like, because I wanted to make sure that she knew that she was getting into some, like she was.
I'm not no Joe Schmo.
Yeah. Like I'm not gonna be a bum. Like I deserve to be with you. Like I wanted to prove myself. So I give a lot of credit to her for me wanting to do more, because I'm like, man, I have a nice girl, like a good
shout
woman.
out to your wife.
Shout out to my wife. But she was a big motivator, and she kept me grounded whenever like I was making even more money, because otherwise I would have been like a partier. Like now I don't even like to party. I'll have fun, but by 12 I'm like,
yeah.
You know,
you got everything you need.
So
you're not seeking it anywhere.
So I could pull it up right away. I'll show you. Man, it's bad Wi-Fi over here.
Did you have a team while you were there, or was that like more of a solo mission job?
So at first, well, I was a part of a team, but that team was a bad team. Like they would smoke every day.
Yeah.
They would do. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I got into smoking every day because of that team for a long time, for years.
So
the first 3 years of
my,
my
like some positive to the culture, but then a lot of negative.
Of course, yeah. So, and even in the cadets, we like to smoke weed. You know, like we did, and so even they like to smoke weed. So cool, I'm already smoking weed. So that team was pretty bad, but I grew out of that, and that's again, thankful for my wife's good influence. Felt that she was God sent to my life to be able to accomplish and impact the lives that I am now impacting, and to be able to be like a good example of what it's like to change and grow and in wisdom and all that, you know. So man, I'm just grateful for her. But I got the video right here. You can see it.
Wednesday, July 24th, 2019, 9:02 a.m.
Look at you.
I became a salesperson 3 weeks ago. I'm in the sales business right now, sales industry or whatever. And right now, I have committed to this. And I'm gonna make this the best opportunity that I've ever had, and I'm gonna take advantage of it. And I hope to see this video 10 years from now.
So 10 years.
Or even less. Making 150K a year. I said it. And I'm gonna do it. Today, I have 1,000 in savings, 500 in checkings. 2 weeks into this business. Already.
So I like when
that's awesome. I love going back to what we used to think.
When I said $1,000 in checkings, I remember thinking, and I was like, that's impressive, you know. I was trying to flex to my people from school, you know, like I was flexing in my eyes.
Yeah.
And then when I said 150,000, I remember clearly not believing it at that time. Mm-hmm. I truly didn't believe that was possible at that moment, but I really wanted it to be possible. So over time, it just goes to show how your mind is just I heard this from somebody. His name is Christian Maroney.
Yep.
Have you ever heard of him?
I know him.
He's he's a Same Day Ninjas. He talks about how you got to download things in your software. Your mind is like a computer, the most complex computer there is. And when you don't believe something, if you say, I'm a millionaire, something in your mind, if you don't truly believe that you are going to be, or that you are a millionaire and you embody that, your mind is going to automatically have a thought of, actually, no, you're not. No, don't believe it. Don't believe it. And that was present when I said it. I remember clearly not believing it. But then you fast forward 2 years, because I kept saying it. I share this all the time, but my password for everything was 6 figures by 21. 6 figures by 21. So I would type it down.
How old are you now?
I am 23.
23.
So I'm not going to tell you my password for the next thing, so watch out. Don't try to guess either.
Billionaire by 28.
Ah, shoot. Damn it. No, it's not that. It's not that. Similar, though. So, yeah, I mean, I just kept saying it, kept thinking it, kept repeating it, kept affirming it. And I would tell others, you're going to make $150,000 this year. And so the more I would tell others, I'm like, well, if I'm telling others that they're going to do it, then I first have to do it to show them it's possible. So just like we were talking about earlier, I cared more about seeing others succeed, because I felt responsible. If I brought you in, I'm like, well, now I'm responsible to make sure you win, because otherwise I'm gonna look stupid in front of you.
Yep.
So. And
now, so where are you at in the story? So just so I understand. So you went and switched over. You're selling energy, not solar. You're selling energy. You started making some money, having success. You're calling your shots. Yeah. Which I believe everyone has to become a shot caller if they ever want to achieve anything great. Because I say this a lot, but I believe in self-fulfilling prophecies. I believe in putting out a prophecy that you're going to commit to and make happen and actualize. Yeah. And then standing on the other side of it, talking about how you said you were going to do it every single time. And so now you've started the trend of calling your shots, right? You're going to make $150K. How long did it take you to get there? And did you make it in that company, or was it the next move?
I did it in that company. And I'm grateful for everything that I went through in that company. The people that were in leadership, they served my life very well and had a positive impact until I felt like there's got to be more, you know? Like you were talking about, sometimes you outgrow because they choose not to grow with you more than whatever they're at. Yep. So I'm a student. And so, I did it so my first year, in 6 months, I made like $45,000, which was more money than anybody in my family had ever made. The combined income for my sister's family at that time was like $38,000. I remember asking them. And so I was like, I saw my 1099. I was like, $45,000. Wow. I took my first trip with my wife, to New York. I like balled out. You know, at first I was like throwing money everywhere. I was buying designer.
It disappears real fast.
Bro, huh? I bought like 5 designer shoes in one time. I bought like 5. I just was splurging. I wanted to portray an image of like, hey, I made it, you know, like I'm a salesperson.
I think everybody goes through that transition.
And I try to teach people not to do that, but sometimes you have to learn it.
You just got to go through it yourself.
Yeah, because you could hear it and you can understand it, but if you don't go through it, you're not really going to understand the lesson of that. But so I'm 2 years in. The second year, my first full year, I made $81,000. I went from 45 to 81. And then my second full year, I made $151,000.
So when you made the 151 and you accomplished the goal, what was next? What did you think at that moment?
I was like, wow, if I truly believe, that's whenever I really, I guess, adopted the mindset of, hey, if I believe something strong enough, I can do it. So,
and by the way, that piece gives me chills because there's like a switch that gets turned on. Yeah. When you start actualizing your little micro goals, or what feels like a big goal, you hit that big goal. Yeah. Because I had 10X planners for 7.5 years where I'd write my goals morning and night. And at first it started with 10K a month, then 20K a month, then 50K a month. And it kept moving up, right? It was an annual goal. Then it was buying my mom a house. And I did all these things, and everything I keep writing down keeps happening. And then when you realize that, like, the flip in my brain was anything that I really put all my attention toward and full belief and conviction and action toward, it can happen. And it can happen a lot faster than you think. Yeah. And it sounds like you made that flip within the first year or two.
Yeah. And so I want to share this with everyone watching. I'm going to practice looking at the camera. Look, guys, if you're watching, whenever you start something, start it and decide that you're going to make it happen no matter what, no matter how much it takes, no matter how hard it is, how long it takes, you're going to do it. And once you commit, you don't stop. And if you don't stop, you can make it happen as long as you're working and you're putting the effort behind it. Just like in this video that I showed, or that I shared, at least the audio for, I said, I don't care if it takes me 10 years, I'm going to make it happen. And then you fast forward 2 years, 2 full years, happened.
I think that's an important part to take note on, was you're committing to however long it takes. 10 years being an acceptable range to get to 150K. Most people are just like, if I don't, I'm going to do this in the next 3 months or 6 months or year, and then they don't hit it, or they fall way short of what they expected.
Absolutely.
And the world's falling apart, and all of a sudden they're no longer in the industry. They're no longer chasing their dreams because they feel like their dreams are for everybody else.
Yeah. I didn't care. I was like, if it takes me 10 years, it's going to take me 10 years either way. Doesn't matter what route I take. I can go to college. And so actually the only reason I didn't go to college is because of my immigration background at that time. I come from Mexico. My family brought me over, et cetera. Obviously now I'm married, right? I didn't marry because of that, but it's a plus, right? At that time I didn't get accepted for the financial backing, the government, I think it's FAFSA or something like that. Yeah. So I got accepted into A&M. I have this cool letter that I thought was one of the greatest accomplishments of my life, to be accepted to this really cool school that I wanted to go to, because I had a 3.9 GPA, good at sports. I was really like, I really wanted to make school I thought school and going to college and getting a degree, I thought that was a success that my life needed for me to feel like I was doing something. So when I couldn't do that, I ended up in community college. And again, I share this story to everybody that comes in and they're doing college right now. And I asked them, well, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. I'm just doing college because usually the family tells them to.
It's the path.
Yeah. So now I understand, if you want to do something specific, you need college. You want to be a doctor. You want to be a police, not even a police, like a lawyer or something. You need to have the education. But most people that don't know what they want and they go to college, they end up more lost, because they spent all this time with so much effort being poured into something that they end up never really feeling that is getting them anywhere.
Yeah, I started in college thinking I was going to be an accountant. I'm not kidding. I was good at math, good with numbers. That's always been a strong suit of mine. So I was like, naturally, what am I going to lean toward? What I'm good at. And so I thought I was going to be an accountant. I took, finance was one of my majors. And then I had some buddies from my fraternity come back after they graduated. Yeah. And they were now accountants. They were now doing this, and it was tax season, and they were working 80 to 100 hours a week for 70 to 80,000. And they just looked exhausted. And they were so excited to be back at college and have some time to live the old life. And what really stood out to me was like, live it up. These are going to be the best days of your life. Like, this is basically much better than what we're doing today. And I remember thinking for a second, I was like, there's no way I'm leaving college and going to miss college. There's no shot that's going to happen. So whatever they're doing, I'm not doing that. So I was like, one, I'm not going to be an accountant anymore, because this guy just told me how miserable his life is behind the desk. So I switched. Okay, maybe I'm going to be in like finance, right? Like, I don't know what is in finance at this point, but I'm just like, I'm going to be in finance. So finance continued. And then luckily, so I found a lot of things I didn't want to do. Yeah. But then I ended up running into sales as one of my majors. And then I was like, this makes sense, because I had a guest speaker come in, say how they made $100,000 their first year out of college selling, I don't know what, selling suits or something. And I'm like, this makes way more sense than everything else I'm hearing. So the one thing it did do for me in college was it told me a few things that I was not going to do for sure. Yeah. Because I heard enough experiences after people graduated. Yeah. And then I luckily was in the right institution for sales, where I was like, that is what I need to do. I just need to figure out what I'm going to sell. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I wanted to also do some type of business. That's what I went. So I went to
some type of business.
I knew what I wanted was to be in a better financial position than what I grew up in. Whatever I do, I just wanted to allow for me and my family's lifestyle to be not more comfortable, but just to not worry about bills. Yep. And I mean, sometimes, especially like we talked about lifestyle inflation, sometimes, when you're first getting the hang of it, you're still going to have problems with bills, because then your bills go up. Yep. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to be able to have a better lifestyle for me and my family. So that's what I wanted. And so I went to a business class in college, and I was taking all the other course or whatever that they make you take. But I was my first month in sales, and then also my first month in college at the same time. And I was sitting in a business class, and I asked the professor, like, hey, how many businesses have you successfully ran? And I was excited to get the answer and for him to tell me how awesome business is. He's like, oh, I actually never had a business, never owned it, but I can teach you all about it so that you can do it.
Yep.
And so to me, that made no sense at all.
Same.
I was like,
we call them theorists.
Yeah, I was like, you're telling me you're going to teach me how to do business, but you've never ran a business? Like, how does that work? And so I said in my head, well, who do I want to learn from? From this guy that has never ran a business, or from this other guy, or these group of people that are actively doing business? They're in the field doing business as entrepreneurs, actually making six figures, or, you know, what's better for me? What's better for what I want, which was business. I wanted to make money. Well, for me, it made more sense to do sales. And so I decided to let go of college and go full force sales.
And at this point, did you pivot from energy? When did you pivot into solar?
So 2020, so the whole, I think the storm happened before the pandemic. Did you ever hear about Alaska? You know, Texas got frozen over.
Oh, yeah. That's when all the door knockers came over there for the hail. They came over there for the roofs. Yeah.
What year was that?
That
21
was
or
20. Yeah, that was 21 or 22, right in there somewhere.
Was that before or after COVID? Do you remember?
It was during, I thought, right?
I don't know. But all I know is that and COVID truly like just messed up our market. Well, our specific, because we were selling lower rates, but the rates were way too high.
Yeah.
So then the company, that was their bread and butter. So they were actually against doing solar. But because when somebody doubts me and says it can't be done, I decide this is what I'm actually going to do. Sometimes my wife hates that because whenever she tells me, no, don't do it, it makes me want to do it some more, you know? But they said, no, solar's hard. It doesn't work. You have to wait months to get paid. No, you have to get, oh, this guy, he made $20,000. It took him 4 months to get paid. Don't worry. Like, yeah, it's not worth it. Like, you making this every day is better for you. And so I believed that for the longest. But then when everybody left and it was just me and a couple more of my guys, I was like, either I'm going to leave or I'm going to do solar. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if I'm the lab rat. I don't care if I go broke for a little bit. People are making $20,000 in a month. I've never done that. If they can, I can.
Yep.
So then I actually got the first deal for the company for solar, along with the other leader that I feel like we motivated to go out there with us, because he was the main one saying, hey, chill. Like, let's just keep doing what we're doing. It's uncertain, you know? So it was like all a combined effort. You know, we all made it happen. So my first ever month, I made 12 sales. Half of them canceled, but I made 12 sales. And so that showed me that it was possible. And 6 of them paid out. So for 3 months, I was living off of credit cards. I was like, literally my last $10 I spent at Chipotle in my credit card. And then I look at my bank account, $25,000 dropped. Paid off my credit card, still had $5,000 left. Another check came in, $20,000. And so, again, I believed that I could do it, and I made it happen. So we transitioned there in like 2021, summer of 2021. So summer 2021, my first year in solar, $250,000.
I guess the question too, because it sounds like you didn't have anyone train you how to sell solar.
So
how did you first get trained up?
We were using the door-to-door university, just videos. So we had nobody that had experience. So it was just videos and going out and executing. So I learned from my mistakes. Mm-hmm. That's where I truly feel that was my training. So I was a rookie training rookies. Yeah. Because I got 12 sales. So, hey, go train these people up.
Every time.
So, yeah, I mean.
And by the way, I think that is a cheat code to growth is get as good as you can as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get to a place where you can make it happen, whether it's 12 sales or 10 sales or 8 sales, but you're in a place where you can make things happen regardless of what level your skill's at, and go train other people.
Yeah.
As fast as you could start training people. Because when you're starting to train people, that's when the real evolution of your skills takes place.
There's 3 levels of knowledge. 1 is knowing about it. And then 2 is knowing how to do it. And then 3 is knowing how to teach it and replicate it. Because if you can teach it, that level of knowledge is the deepest that it could be, replicating it.
Yep.
And so whenever you learn something and you teach it at the same time, it helps you learn it faster.
That's the cheat code. You got to learn it, you got to do it, and then you teach it. And the faster you can turn that cycle with what you are learning, what you are applying, and then you're teaching, the faster you could become a high-level leader, a high-level salesman. Yeah. Every single time. It always works out that way.
For sure. So, yeah, I mean, we transitioned into solar, and it just came to a point where I felt like I was in a bubble where I had made the most money I had ever made before, $350K at that time. And I still felt that I didn't feel anything really. And like you were talking about, I think, was it you? Somebody, I just talked to somebody about like sometimes the people that have the most money, it was this morning, no? When we were cold plunging, the people that have the most money sometimes like end up feeling empty, you know, even though they have all of these things. So that's how I felt that I was like, I had a lot of money that I made, in my eyes, that was a lot of money. Yeah. But I still felt kind of like unfulfilled. And I heard a quote that says that the highest level of broke is having everything you want, but still feeling like you have nothing. Yeah. That's the highest level of broke. And so that taught me that money is not everything. And where I was in that environment, to them, money was everything. And they taught people that came in, money's everything. You have a good car, you're winning in life. Go splurge your money in a nice apartment. Go buy designer. So that's even why I decided to splurge my money in the beginning, because that's what I learned from them. And I don't condemn them for it because it drove me to a certain extent. Because that does drive you temporarily. But whenever I decided to make a switch, it was nothing but I wanted more fulfillment. And throughout the first years of sales, I drifted away from my faith, from my belief system. Was partying all the time. And I just wasn't living life the way that I knew God designed for me to live life. And my belief system just wasn't aligned. What I was doing wasn't aligned with my belief system, my core values. And those people didn't align with my core values, but I was okay with it because they were teaching me something that I wanted in life. So then I pivoted into another company to experience what it was like to work with a direct installer. So I was in the dealer model and then in the installer model, like directly. That was good. I made multiple 6 figures there too. So these past 2 years have been like the most amount of growth personally, because it's shown me that you can make it happen anywhere.
I was about to say that's the number one thing, because we talked earlier about someone raising their hand saying they've been with over 12 companies, they've been with 10 companies. Yeah. And you should be able to find massive success no matter how bad your company is. Exactly. The second you think it's on the company for your success. And don't get me wrong, there's places where your growth and everything else can exponentially grow. So you want to position yourself well.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if you go a year without making the money you think, that's on you. Yeah. A year's a long time.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what company you're with, no matter what industry you're in, if you have the opportunity to produce your own income by the work you do, you have the ability to make sure you make it happen. And there's no excuse. There's an excuse for a week, but a year can never be excusable.
No. And so, it showed me. I was with that other company. So I've been part of 3 companies, Spartan being the third one.
Me too. Spartan being my third one.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. But yeah, I mean, I think that I'm here for a long time, bro. Like everything that I believe, you believe, the leadership believes, it's like the best alignment and the most alignment I've ever felt in my life, which is why I sell and I train and I carry my day-to-day with so much conviction, is because we're vibrating at the same frequency. Yeah. Every conversation, every meeting, every training, we're vibrating at the same frequency. And if you don't feel that where you are, you got to get out of there. Sometimes it's a matter of, so I heard this, the grass is green. The grass is not greener on the other side. But then it was super hard because I'm a loyal guy. The first switch that I ever made, a thought came to my mind. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, the grass is not greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it, right? But what if the soil doesn't have nutrients? Yep. What if the soil doesn't have, good. What if there's not enough sun exposure?
That's good.
What if just bad soil, right? So you can water as much as you want for years and no grass is going to grow if the soil is dead. Mm-hmm. The soil has to have nutrients. It has to have the vitamins for the plants. It has to have enough water availability.
And sometimes it takes some time to figure out if there's nutrients in the soil.
Exactly.
It doesn't happen when you first put the seed in.
Absolutely. So as a matter of fact, it's funny that we talk about, but what does it say here? What does it say here?
Gardens seeds.
So what about the back?
Plant seeds and grow gardens.
So you plant seeds, you grow gardens. So obviously you got to wait and figure out if there's enough nutrients when you plant the seed and it's going to grow. But then over time you'll figure it out.
The land's not going to fix itself if it's nutrient?
Yeah.
It doesn't have any nutrients.
You can water it as much as you want. So that was like my breakthrough thought when I'm like, okay, I've been here for enough time to know that there's a lack of nutrients here because I've watered it for years and I've made money, but I don't feel like my life is getting better. Yeah. And that is what I feel that this company is about.
And what did you feel like was lacking there that you felt? Because I agree. If, you know, what you say, think, do, believe. Yeah. When it's all in alignment and the environment's in alignment there, the inner peace and energy you have is immeasurable. Yeah. And then when there's a kink, right, on your side, their side, doesn't matter. But when there's kinks in it, you start to feel like this turmoil inside. You don't have the same peace. Your energy level is up and down a lot more. Yeah.
So I started growing in my relationship with God. And again, every time somebody asks me, oh, you believe in God? Are you a religious person? I'm a big believer on it's not about religion. Like, I don't like the word religion. I'm not a part of a religion. I have a relationship. Yeah. I have a relationship with God. Like, he guides me. I talk to him. Like, if he's my friend, like if I'm talking to you. And so I grew in my relationship with God because I seeked it again. I stopped seeking it for a long time because they wouldn't talk about it. They wouldn't. So as soon as I started seeking that again, I started being aware, right? Because there's things called blind spots. You don't know what you don't know unless you become. The first step to change is
change.
Awareness. You know the answer to that. Awareness. You got to be aware. Yeah. You got to be aware of the situation because otherwise, if you're not aware of it, how are you going to change it? Mm-hmm. So I was aware. All right. I started noticing the way they would speak about women, about even their own wives, the way they would speak about how to spend your money, where to go, what was acceptable, what wasn't. They were okay with a lot of things that I'm like, I'm truly not okay with that. Mm-hmm. But I was okay with it for the longest because I chose to ignore it. And over time, the more you walk in that, you're going to start sitting with them, right? Because you can't walk forever. If you walk with somebody, at some point you're going to start sitting with them and breaking bread with them. Mm-hmm. So I decided, I spoke out about it and I started to try to be the change, but it was I felt like it was impossible, So then I started thinking, how
especially the higher up it's coming from, it's really hard to be a provocateur of that change.
And then whenever you try to start making a difference, then now it becomes a problem, and now they look at you different, and now they treat you different. Now they, it's just I grew in wisdom, and I knew that I had to make a change because the first thing, one of the main things that I thought about is like, do I want to bring somebody into this environment, and would I feel like their life will get better? Yeah. I know I will try to make their lives get better, but can I genuinely, without a shadow of a doubt, say that this environment is going to teach him how to live life as a better man, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, every Ali you can think about? Mm-hmm. And the answer was no. So we made a change and we tried it out again, tested the soil. We made a lot of money on the way, and it wasn't like a stable soil. And we now started looking for a nutrient-rich place to plant, and we found it.
And I want to point out, too, the reason Nelson's on this podcast is not just because I want to sit down and talk. It's because he came over in Texas, which we didn't have anything going on in Texas at this time. he came over to Texas where I've been a little bit apprehensive with Texas because I haven't seen too many teams do super well out there. It's, kind of few and far. And he was coming over with just 3-4 people, right? A small little group of five people. Either way, a small group of people in Texas. First month what was the first month did you get?
It was like 27, something like with 3 foreclosures, 27.
But they made it happen with a small group, and there's a similarity amongst all of our top performing teams today, like the teams that do 100, 200 accounts a month. They all were able to still do great volume with 3-4 people because guess what? You're the leader of those 3, 4, 5 people. There's no reason with 5 people you can't hit your stride. Yeah. You don't need 1 million people to get a lot of volume. And so my point is you're able to come in, and he was able to come in with this team of 5 people throwing, 25, 27 accounts. Yeah. And then scale up to 10 plus people. You eventually got to 50 accounts, and now you just hit like 69, almost 70 accounts last month. Yeah. And so every month you're coming to me, you're asking me, hey, how do I help, build and scale this team faster? Yeah. And then I'm looking at you, I'm like, you have a great example of how to scale a team for people trying to look to get to 20, 25 people to get to 100 accounts a month.
We pretty much hit the 70 or 69, 70. One wasn't processed, so I would say 70.
70, we'll call 70.
With almost the same amount of people that we were only able to do 25. Same amount of closers. And it was a ceiling that we had to break through mentally, and being surrounded by the environment at even if it was virtually a lot of the time, being surrounded and seeing people throwing down 3 deals, 2 deals, 4 deals consistently every day, like an individual, not a team. It really told us this is possible. And again, back to the same thing. If they can, we can.
Dude, I love that.
And so that's just the motto. If they can, I can. If he can, if he can, I can. So then all of a sudden next month we hit the 50. We had never done that. Me as a team, we had never done that at any company. We had done 25. And we used to think that, oh, this is amazing. 25, let's go. We were making some good money, some good checks, $30,000, $20,000 in the month. So that's still good, that's still good. But then you see the crazy numbers the other teams are throwing down within the other divisions at Spartan, and we're like, I like to be the underdog because it drives me, it drives me. So it drove us to work harder, and we acquired new systems, new approaches, new sales tactics, new word tracks.
You did.
And so that allowed for us to do the same thing we were doing with that amount of people to 10x almost. To 5x.
Why do you think it is? I'm curious to hear your take on it. Why some people look at other people that are having a ton of success, right? Throwing 3 deals in a day, 5 deals a day, a small team doing 100 accounts, right? Why do you think some people look at that and be like, they're doing it, I'm going to go do that? And then there's other people that look at that kind of production, that volume, and they run the other way. They don't embrace it. But why do you think that is?
I feel like, I think that's what it is. Like, what else? They're afraid of the challenge. They feel they don't believe enough. Yeah. They don't have enough belief. You saw the thing that I've mounted on the office. Dream, believe, work, achieve. Yeah. Dream, believe, work, achieve. Dream, believe, work, achieve. That's it's in my mind 24/7. We're the dream team, Texas, the dream team division. Even my when I first got my first thing, my legal status, the Dream Act is what it was called. Like the people that were brought in they were at the mercy of their family, and I want to talk about that process. So right now, I'm good, I can travel the country and everything. I have the DACA. I'm married. We're filing, so I'll be able to be. I'm good now. But my family, they brought me over what I say the savage way, and I didn't have control of it. So I know some people have different opinions about stuff like that, but I didn't have control over it. So my family brought me over. I have the Dream Act and all that good stuff. So I've been a dreamer. That's what they call people like me. The deferred action for childhood arrivals is what it's called. The Dream Act. We're dreamers. So I've always been a dreamer. I've always wanted more for me and my family. But coming here, the story's crazy. So my family tried 3 times to come over. My mom almost died at the desert, and they had to turn themselves into the it was the ICE is what they're called, immigration police, because otherwise they would have died in the desert. So the people that they called the snuggler people, you know, the coyotes is what you call them. They take you, and if you stay back, they'll leave you. Some people have been eaten by coyotes in the desert. Some people die of thirst. And so, yeah, that story was crazy. So my family, so at first, when they were going through, and again, I sat my mom down one day and I asked her, like, tell me the process, because I didn't know. That happened a couple months ago. For the first time I heard, I really like dove into the story of the process of us getting to the United States. They were dreamers. They've been the dream team. They've been dreaming for our families for years now. So they came when I was 4. They only brought me. They left my sister and my brother behind because they didn't have enough money. So the plan was get me, the baby at that time, 4 years old, over, and then work to send money so that my siblings could also come over, because you had to pay the people. So then they came. They were on the first wave, right? I had to be separated from them because they had to go through the desert and take it the hard way, and they wanted they took me on a car. So I was sent as another kid, because I was a kid, you know, little kid. I guess somehow they drove me to Brownsville, Texas, and I stayed there while my parents tried to cross and find me. But my parents got lost twice. So I was at the Coyote's house, at the people's house, for like 2 months by myself. And I remember so clearly being there and thinking that was my new family. I was like, all right, it's my new family.
You don't know any better.
I didn't know any better. I was like, cool, I'm adaptable. You know, I know how to adapt.
You've been adaptable for a long time.
I've been adaptable since day one, but baby.
Yeah. With extreme adversity to get there.
Yeah, and so I was there. You know, I remember one day that it was really only me and then the two children they had, because the dad was always out doing his thing, you know, doing that, and then the mom was always sleeping because she was working overnight. So it was kids taking care of kids. One of the things the reason why I feel like my mind still remembers everything so clearly is because one of the kids was an asshole. He was a freaking asshole. He would freaking pick on us, and he would grab little needles and he would like poke you just to mess with you. And so, yeah, I would play with them. You know how kids are. It's nothing crazy. But one day we were right by a river. And again, I like Google Maps because I even looked that up. Whenever I was talking to my mom, I looked that place, Brownsville. She said it was by a river and whatever. So I looked it up and I saw the little area where I was at, and there was a river. So I was 4. I still didn't know how to swim then. The kids were mischievous all the time, just doing their thing, because it was kids taking care of kids. And we jumped over a fence to a river just to go play and have fun. And I slipped into the river. I fell into the river.
At 4?
At 4. And it was a river with current. And the kid that would always pick on me, I think he was probably the oldest, he saved me. I would have died. I would have drowned. He ran and he grabbed me. I had boots on that day. I remember I had boots. So I used to wear boots with my soccer shorts.
I want to see some photos of that.
Yeah, I have photos of that for sure. I used to wear boots with my soccer shorts. Me and my little cousin would do that all the time. But yeah, he saved me. The guy that would pick on us, he saved me. He saved my life, literally. Wow. So I think that, like, real thinking back to everything that my life could have become, there's no way that there's a greater purpose for me in this world for others, because there's no way there isn't. I believe it strongly. I'm here because God wants me here, and I have a greater role to play, not only in my life, but in the life of others. And I'm not perfect. I'm not, the best at everything, but I'm willing to work towards becoming the best at whatever it is we decide to accomplish together with the people that are with me. That's what I can guarantee, that I will outlearn any other leader, that I will give my 100% even when it gets tough, and that as long as you're with me on that, we're locked in.
And so when you ended up now building this team with us, obviously you wanted to change a lot of things with the culture, right?
Yeah.
Like your past story, your entire history, you've learned a lot of lessons of what not to do, and imagine a little bit of what to do. So when you shifted over here, now you're running your own team with Spartan. What are some of those things that you're like, I really want to make this culture surrounded by this. I really want to make sure this is part of how we operate, because it is crucial, the foundation of any team, how it's built.
So the question is, what were the main things that I want the culture to have different?
And what things do you want to make sure we're not part of it?
We're not part of it.
Both.
The thing that I did not want to be a part of, or that I didn't want it to be a part of my culture and the culture we're building, is animosity. Envy, dry hate. That they act like they are, that when you see success, that, oh, awesome. But then behind your back, or, to the other people, they actually don't want you. They don't genuinely want you to win.
Did you feel that in a lot of other places?
Yes. The first company I was in, I felt that a lot. And then the second one, I felt it with a couple people, and those people ended up weeding themselves out, and now they're hitting me back up. Guess what? Got you, bro. Come on. But I don't see you the same, but I'm willing to help you, and we'll make it happen. I still want the best for you. I'm still going to speak life into you. That's one of the things that I learned from the church community. Speak life. Because from the tongue comes the power of life and death. What you say, what you declare. Words have power. Words have vibrations, and we're all vibrating right now. So I'm going to speak life into everybody. So that's one of the things that I want my culture to have. We speak life into each other. We declare that you're going to be successful. And when you don't feel like you're going to be successful, we're going to be able to raise your belief to know that you are going to be successful. As long as you put the work in. Also, I'm not going to put up with somebody who's not willing to work, because I can only want it so much for you, and then you're going to have to want it just as bad or more. If you can get to my level of desire to become better, you'll be okay. But if you can get to an even higher level because it's you're going to make it happen.
And so what were some of the things that you really wanted to make sure were part of your culture? Like, speak life into everybody.
Yeah, we speak life into each other.
Was there any other things you wanted to add, like intentionally, like this is going to be part of our culture? Which culture is just what you do and say on a regular basis.
So speak life, right? We train all the time. We're students. We're students of the game. No matter what, you're never satisfied with what you've already learned. You keep seeking to learn and to grow. So always learn, student, always keep dreaming, always keep wanting to get to the next level, seeking for that. Another thing is, and I'm trying, or I'm becoming more conscious about your physical, state. And that's one of the biggest things that really attracted me from Spartan. And, you as a person, I'm not trying to massage your ego or anything, but bro, you're like a role model to a lot of people. To me, to a lot of people, we were just out there and we're like, man, that's what a CEO needs to look like. And so we have great leaders. We have, from the top to the bottom, we have great leaders. So I wanted being in great physical shape to be a part of the culture, because that's going to help me.
Yep.
So when I speak to my guys, whenever I'm having like a speech or a training, Ed Milet says this all the time, and I truly can relate to that. But when I speak and when I'm giving somebody some suggestions, I'm speaking to myself as much as I'm speaking to them. So me sitting here and saying I want the culture to be being in good shape and talking. I'm not saying that I'm in the best shape ever, but what I am saying is that I'm continuously trying to course correct whenever I get off track, because that's the culture that we have. You try and try and try to continue to get better physically. Because if you can get good physically, like you said earlier, it's statistically harder to get in shape than it is to become a millionaire.
Yep.
So I wanna have that's part of my culture. I feel like it's already there, and people are working towards it. They hit the gym, they go on runs, they share it. And another thing is gratitude. Again, I've always been grateful, so I wanted our team to always be grateful. And this morning, even Roy is a kind of like a witness of that. One of the newer guys, he's probably 7 months into the team. He sent this huge long message about how grateful he was. And guys, send the one person you're grateful for this week. And we do that all the time. Mm-hmm. And I don't even have to push it anymore. It happens. So I feel like it's becoming the culture.
It's interesting with gratitude too, because when I was running meetings and you're at the leadership retreat, so you saw a little bit of it, but I would always do Wim Hof, right? A breathing exercise to get us in the present mode, get us in the state. Then I would do 2-2-2, which was 2 people in the room you're grateful for. Well, first it was 2 things or whatever you're grateful for, 2 goals you have, and then 2 targets, which is daily action to get you closer to goal, right? Because you need to understand what you're doing to get to that goal. Otherwise, it just becomes a pipe dream. And the gratitude piece at first, it was, anyone or anything you're grateful for, and everyone would just say usually the same things. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for God. I'm grateful for the same things. And then when I twisted it and I was like, no, pick 2 people in this room you are grateful for and specifically why, and share that with the room once we're all done writing it down. Yeah. I think we did that at the leadership retreat. Yeah. I usually always do it. But I'll do that in every meeting. And what you find is the entire energy of the room shifts, like my energy included, not just theirs. Like you said, it's just as much for you as it is for everybody else. But I'll do it on Zoom calls with the operations team, Zoom calls with some leadership sometimes. But when you start sharing the grateful, you all of a sudden realize there's all these people that are appreciative of things you're doing that you don't really recognize. We don't know how good we are sometimes. Yeah. And it's good to hear it from other people. Not that we need it, but it's good to hear it from other people. And it's good to say it to somebody else, because oftentimes, right, people don't get their flowers until they're dead. Yeah. Right? That's when they get their flowers, and it's like too late. And it always repeats that way. And there's an interesting thing with gratitude when you're doing this exercise with your team that I think everyone can pick up on is, one, you can get them to pick people in the room. Yeah. Right. Share it and be specific as to why you're grateful for them. Right. It can't just be, I'm grateful for you, Nelson. That's just not a reason. Just not, it's not genuine. Yeah. But 2, you'll start to notice trends within the team or within the group of people they're grateful for. And I'm often caught surprised. Yeah. And I'm like, no way. Like, I had no idea this person had so much positive impact on all of these people. Like, you are like, you might not be the top producer. Yeah. But you right now, this guy, just random guy, right? You are. Everyone in this whole room just said they're grateful for you, and they all wrote it down ahead of time before anyone else spoke it, so they weren't just feeding off one another. Mm-hmm. And so it tells you a lot about the people in the room too. Absolutely. And as a leader, there's nothing more valuable than that. And it also tells you, there's some people that act like they're the most helpful and act like they're the best and doing the most, and then you don't hear their name at all. And you're like, wait a second. It tells you a lot of truth without even having to approach that.
Dang, that's fire. Yeah. It exposes the good and the bad. Mm-hmm. What you appreciates, right? Yeah. And so when you appreciate somebody, they start all of a sudden, and my wife is big on this, is you got to speak to what you want them to become. Mm-hmm. She's wise, man. She be hitting me with some lines. I'm like, all right.
That's good, because it's easy to even for myself. Sometimes I'm like, shoot, I shouldn't be speaking to you that way, because ultimately, like, this is not pushing you to get to where I want you to be or you want to be.
So, and then that also cultivates like a strong bond between everyone, because people appreciate who appreciates them. Yep. So whenever you keep doing that over and over again, and I think you covered that in the leadership training we had one day, where how do you find out who's your people that are making the biggest impact? Ask everybody who they're grateful for and figure out who is that one guy. Mm-hmm. And 2 of the guys that are here, Jacob Hernandez and Roy Garza, we did that last week when we were in meeting, and they were 2 of the ones that were called out for. And that shows me that these guys, and like, they are here because they want it through production and through actual performance. But
and it does make you want to do more of that. Exactly. Right? Roy, I'd imagine hearing someone's grateful for you for this reason makes you, all right, I'm doubling down on that thing. Right.
And these two guys, they are some of the most grateful guys you'll ever meet. And anybody that knows them, they'll tell you at every moment they're grateful. And Jacob is very outspoken about anything that he sees that you do good. And he's not the only one that does that.
And so it's interesting too, because that stuff stands out to me more than anything nowadays. Yeah. Because I do a lot for a lot of people, right? All the time. And so many people don't say thank you. So many people don't show an appreciation. When I met Jess, that was the one thing that really stood out to me about her. She has plenty of money. She's very successful on her own. But the smallest thing I would do, she would be thankful for. And thank me multiple times. Like, if I just got her a cup of coffee. Or if I just got her, like, the smallest minute thing I could do, she would say thank you a million times. And she's super successful. She has a lot going for her. And I was like, wow, this is just so – it made me actually start saying thank you more, because I realized, the world kind of gets twisted. And it's starting to get to a point where – even the biggest, most grandiose, things you can do for someone don't get a lot. They don't get a lot. Like, you'll take people out to dinner, you'll show them like the nicest experience you can because you want them to have that experience.
Yeah.
And then they won't be grateful for it or show any appreciation as if it's to be expected. And everything is to be expected nowadays. So when you find people that don't expect, and when they receive, they're grateful, I think it's one of the biggest gifts you can have. It makes you just want to keep pouring in.
So I learned after I went to a Tony Robbins conference that there's scientific, I guess you can call it experiments, or they found out that the smallest molecular structure is sound, vibration. Like the most micro structure of what we're composed of, is vibrations. Mm-hmm. And the highest level of vibration on top of love as second is gratitude. Yeah. And so when you practice gratitude, you start having the best attitude.
Every single time.
Oh, shoot.
That was good.
So, you're in the best attitude because you're vibrating at a high frequency. You're vibrating at the highest frequency, higher than even love itself.
Yeah.
And so, I mean.
And I want to point out, too, I've tried gratitude in a million different ways. I actually don't get as much of that feeling, that uplift, if I'm not expressing it to somebody else. Via text, via phone call, in person. Like, gratitude, when you're just writing it down, you keep it to yourself, the universe doesn't send that energy back to you. You got to send it out for it to come back, and writing it down and thinking it doesn't work. So if you're going to do gratitude, you've got to express it to that person because you'll make their day. Like in our fitness app, I don't know if you've seen it, but in our fitness app, there's daily, checklists, like drink 16 ounces of water right when you wake up, maybe some stretching. But one of the things on the checklist is a gratitude text. I had to put that on there. I'm like, I want everyone texting somebody every day they're grateful for them, and why? Because that's going to lift up their state, and the energy always comes right back to you. It always feeds back into you.
And whoever's watching, if you're in sales and you're like, well, how does that relate to sales? Like, why does that matter? Well, it matters because if you're in sales, you want to be in the best mindset. Yep. You want to be in the best state of mind because your state is going to determine your performance. Mm-hmm. So if you're in the best state mentally, then you're going to be able to perform at your peak. You'll be able to perform the best way possible. And so, it's directly correlated to what we do. So we got to find ways to get in the best state of mind every single day, every single moment. And that's how we can get more sales.
And this is something I say, and I'm going to say it over and over again, because in this life, the only thing we have is energy, right?
Yes.
It's the only thing we have. And it's either good energy or bad energy, high energy or low energy. So you need to do whatever you can on a daily basis, because the money and everything's cool. But the way you find happiness in life, I firmly believe this, is by creating the most good high energy as frequently and often as possible. And I'll keep repeating it because the way you do that is in these little things. It's in the gratitude.
You got to be intentional.
It's in the gym. There's just actions you could take every day to ensure a higher probability of good high energy. And then whatever you're doing with that good high energy, you're going to find significantly more success and fulfillment when you're in that state. Yeah. That state is everything.
For sure.
What's more valuable than that?
Nothing. And you got to be intentional with getting to that state. And it starts off with even just putting your chest up. Tony Robbins talks about this all the time. There's physiological, and a physiological aspect about getting in the right state, and just the way you stand. If you're feeling down,
the energy flows
he says that some people come to him and they're like, man, I don't know why, Tony, I don't know why I feel down all the time.
Because you are down.
I don't know. I feel sad right now. Why could that be? I just can't get away. Of course you're going to feel down. And so Roy is big on this, and we talk like, bro, chest up. Come on. Yeah. You want to get pumped up, but stop putting your head down.
Are you looking at the stars? You're looking at the cement.
Yeah. So, it's as intentional as if you're knocking on doors and you feel like, it's the rejection or the heat or the cold, whatever is getting to you. Start with changing your physiological state. Physically pump up.
Yep.
Do some jumping jacks, some push-ups. Pull, whatever it is you got to do.
Which is all we did this morning in the gym.
Yes.
Right? Quick run, 20 reps of 5 different machines just to get the blood. All I was trying to do, I wasn't trying to gain anything. I was just trying to get in the right state and the right energy. That's it.
And you know what? Right after when we went to the yacht, I noticed we didn't, obviously you don't drink alcohol. I like wine in there. I don't like to get drunk. I hate it. I don't like to get drunk. Anybody that knows me could tell you, I'll have a couple drinks, but we were in the yacht and I pointed this out. I'm like, man, I felt high on life. And it's probably one of the reasons why is because we started off our day with some good exercise, with some running, with some actual pumping the muscles. And we were in the yacht having the best time with having great conversations. Frequency was high. Vibration was high. Energy was high. Everybody was high on life.
No one's drinking.
No one's drinking.
No one's doing anything. This yacht trips are very different with me, right?
Let's go.
But
I respect that.
But I just refuse to pay for bad habits.
Yeah.
Damn. Like I'll pay for just about everything else for people and support people, but I just refuse to pay for bad habits, whatever those habits are. I just can't be associated with that because my goal is to make sure that anytime people spend time with me, whether it's through words, whether it's just through the actions we're taking, but you always come out better by spending some time with me. You'll never come out worse.
Wow. I love that.
So I have some rules I put in place to try to guarantee. I'm not perfect, but I try to guarantee that. Yeah. And there's just a few things I had to change for that.
Leadership, mentorship by Alex Smith, quote 1. Don't pay for people's bad habits. That's good.
It's a sin for a leader. Right?
That's good.
It's a leadership sin.
I've paid for somebody's bad habits.
Me
before.
too.
Shoot.
Me too. And I want to sum up with a couple things. One, where can everyone find you on Instagram?
So Instagram, Victorious Nelson _.
Yeah.
So my last name is Victorio, so had to incorporate it.
Naturally.
Victorious Nelson _.
Okay, and then 2. When you made the move to Spartan, it wasn't a quick move. We had multiple conversations.
Yeah.
You went back and forth. In fact, I was like, man, he's being a little bit nitpicky right now. And I'm usually like,
I drilled you with questions.
You drilled me with questions, which I can't be upset with, right? I got to respect being thorough. But usually a lot of times I run into people that drill me with questions and it's just like a waste of time. But then you came in and it's like you got to the point you made the decision, committed. What were some of the things that like drew you to Spartan? Because there's other people that are going to be listening to this that are not part of Spartan that want to know like what's the difference here between other companies. And I'd rather come directly from the horse's mouth because you've rose and had the success.
Standards, man. Standards are high. If your standards are high, you're going to rise to the occasion or you're going to break and you're going to end up leaving. So it's not going to be I'm going to join Spartan and all of a sudden my life is going to be good. No, you got to put the work behind it. But the standards are high. So like you asked me earlier, why do some people run away? Why do some people elevate? Well, it depends on the approach. And my approach was I have something to prove. And so when you come to an environment and a team this high level and top tier, you're either going to elevate because you have to, because otherwise you're going to be eaten alive.
Just disappear. You're
going to end up disappearing in the mix of so much freaking deals being reported every day. Or you're going to be saying, my name is going to appear there multiple times every single day. The dream team is going to be appearing there every day. The checks are going to go up with them. The production is going to go up with it. Just like them. Why can't I? And so our deals tripled, quadrupled, and I know that by next month or the month after, we're D1. And that's one of the best things that I like, the way that it was divided. It's like a sports, like a sports divisions, D1, D2, D3. And I like that even when you make it to D1, if you don't hit the standard, guess what? You're going to be reported at D3.
You get regulated at that point.
Yeah. Like you're a D1 team for this month. What about next month?
Yep.
And so I respect that, and it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you going. So, they don't deal with. Also, there's no you don't have your preferred this, preferred that. No, it's a level field. Everyone is the same, and that is in a sense that's the most fair it could be.
Yeah, when you have like 30 to 40, I mean soon to be 50 deals a day popping.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to stand out.
Yeah.
And when you rise to the occasion, like I'm gonna stand out in this environment.
Yeah.
That's when you're playing the game. That's when you're playing a bigger game. And for me too, like I believe the same thing. I'm like, if that doesn't fuel you, seeing a chat where people are dropping bombs like that on a daily basis, I don't think there's a solution for you. I think you just
D1.
You belong somewhere else.
D1.
So apart from being D1 and crushing it in the higher standards, what are some other things that you feel like would be valuable for people at other companies to know about what it's like to join Spartan and more specifically the Dream Team?
It's just so a lot of people, in my opinion, like life and business with what we do, life and business are intertwined because of how much time and effort, it mixes.
There's no separation.
There is no separation. If you try to separate it, you're not gonna
lose.
Exactly. And so a lot of people are like, yeah, well, I don't care. I'm in business and I just do my thing. And no, you have to do life with the people that you're surrounded. So we're gonna do life with you. We're gonna show you. We're gonna help you. We want you to succeed. We're gonna drive you to become the best version of yourself at all times. At the same time as you do that for us. So that's what Spartan is. That's what the dream team is. We want you to become the best version of yourself, and you're either gonna rise to the occasion, or you're going to shy away and you're going to go back to the regular lifestyle you had previously.
Last two questions. Number one.
Yeah.
Someone coming into Spartan, or maybe they're already with Spartan but they haven't seen success.
Yeah.
What's the thing they should focus on the most?
Focus on input. Do the work. Knock the hours. Make sure that you are present consistently. Don't think that after 2 months of success, the third month is going to be as successful if you don't put the same amount of work. That's one thing that Ali, because to me, it was unfathomable, 30 deals in a month. Now it's like, heck yeah, I can do that. I just have to and I was like, dude, like, we were at the leadership retreat, and I was like, dude, tell me, like, put me on game, put me on. And he told me his pitch, and I was like, fire, but it's not, like, it's good, like, word tracks. And I took some of those word tracks, and I'm using them, and it gives me more results. But then the one thing he said is like, bro, if you knock from 1 to 9 p.m., can you get a deal? To me, the answer is yes. Hell yeah. Every day I could get a deal if I do that. So if you do that 30 days in a row, can you get 30 deals in a month? I was like,
Ali's good at breaking it down.
I was like, damn. Don't drop it to me like that, but yeah. So
shit, now I gotta accept the truth.
Yes,
here.
shoot. So it's just put the work, input, and usually if you do that, you'll get multiple deals in a day. Yeah. And now you're giving yourself a little bit more slack, because Sundays you also want to spend some good quality time with your family, So you work those hours, you're gonna get the results, and you'll be able to get the results that you are looking for. So that input, that's the one thing. Input. You cannot outwork the experience. You have to also have the experience. Just experience doing it.
Yep.
You can't work the experience. It takes time.
That saying, blood, sweat, tears, and
years.
You can't miss the final step, man. People always try to everyone's like, oh dude, I worked my ass off for these 3 months. Like, dude, you missed the years part of this. There's no avoiding the years in the game. For anybody. I'm 7.5 years deep. And I'm like, I still have more years to go if I want to get where I want to get. Mm-hmm. There's zero chance I can skip past that step. And everyone wants to skip past it. Last question. So someone coming into this company, someone just in life in general, and thinking about yourself too. If you think about the things that have led to your success, you're 23, right? You said 23, super young, had a solid amount of success. I know it's nothing compared to what you want though, right? Like it always is. It always is pennies compared to what you want. But what do you feel like is one thing that throughout that period, throughout those years, has held you back from achieving more success? Like, has there been anything you've changed or anything you look back on? You're like, there's this pattern of behavior or pattern of action that if I could change or did change, maybe you did already change it, is a launch pad to more success. Like, have you noticed anything? That's held you back in any way.
One of the things that I felt was
kind of like, what do you regret the most, almost, but a little bit different?
The bad habits when it came to what I consumed, whether it was food, whether it was smoking, whether it was, drinking more often than I should. And to this day, like, it's a battle. At the end of the day, you have to go to battle. We're Spartans. We're battling all the time. I like being a Spartan, man. Because you go to war mentally every day. So me thinking I'm a Spartan, it helps me. Or again, like I shared earlier, whenever we were trying to take on the 50 deal month that we've never done before, which we accomplished, we did it by saying we're Spartans. And we say we're Spartans. We go to war. When people doubt us, when there's more people against us, we're still gonna win, even though we're smaller in numbers. We're Spartans. That's a great brand, bro. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. People are trying to rip it off. It's cool, man. Good luck.
Good luck.
You don't know. You don't live it.
So yeah, the bad habits when it came to what I consume, and to this day, it's a work in progress. Mm-hmm. I'll accept that sometimes I don't consume food wise what I should. Maybe sometimes I just don't put in my body the things that I need to. And so that's one thing that I would say has held me back, but it's less than it used to be. So I feel like it's a growth. And being surrounded with people like you and experiencing a yacht day without freaking alcohol, I was like, that was so fun.
Yeah.
I didn't need that.
And there's no negative downside afterward.
Yes.
There's no like crash or shoot, I'm going to feel this way, or I'm lethargic, or I want to go. It takes away it leaves you with the fun, and you don't have to deal with the headache.
Yeah. You know, and it's probably going to be a battle in other situations because you're so used to like, okay. Well,
it's always a battle until it's a decision.
Yeah.
So the battle exists if the decision isn't made. If the decision is made, there is no battle.
So when we're at the Fluffy event, would you be mad at me if I drink a glass of wine?
I don't. So I don't care what people do. I don't care what people do at all. No, it's important though, because I don't care what people do at all. But I just know what has allowed me to feel like there's rocket fuel in my system, and I know what has allowed me to feel like I'm riding a Toyota Prius right now.
No,
right.
For sure.
So I just know what has done that for me personally. So I always kind of push my message because I just know that there's a form of rocket fuel out there, and then there's the Prius fuel.
Yeah.
And I think most people want the rocket fuel, so I'm going to keep telling them things that I've had to take out to clean out the system to get to rocket fuel. Because it's not always growth by addition, often it's growth by subtraction. Woo. So understanding what it is that are the patterns in your life, that when you do X, Y happens, and if Y is negative, does it lead to more negative? The snowball effect occurs. And then how can you kill the one thing that leads to the most negative? And so I think that's the easiest exercise most people could do, is writing down a list of those things that they've noticed as a pattern has slowed them down or made it harder to achieve what they want, right? In life, you just want to make it easier to get things you want and harder to get things you don't. And so writing down the list and then distinguishing which is number one. There's always a number one. There's always one thing that leads to the most other things. And then you can kill that one thing. It's, again, now you're cutting out this. You can clean out the fuel and create rocket fuel for the first time. So I just want everyone to find their rocket fuel. And it's always different for everybody. That's why I don't care if people drink. I don't care if any of those things. I just know that the higher you rise in leadership, the higher you rise in life, those activities, those habits will just make it harder. And I don't want this to be a harder life for anybody because it's already hard enough.
It is. Yeah. Well, that's fire, man. And this is why you have such a successful company, because it stems from you and your what you're putting out for the leadership around you. And man, like building leaders that build other leaders, and you build a business, you build people that build businesses. Best way to build people is by showing them how to better, just be better overall. And you've done that. You've been able to do that successfully. And that's why I feel like, man, this is just the beginning for us.
Dude, it's just fucking day one.
Yeah.
Well, Nelson, brother, I fucking appreciate you. Thanks for jumping on the podcast, guys. Victorio Nelson on Instagram. Hit him with the DM. There's not too many people that have this kind of energy. It is contagious. You can hear in his voice. It is real. It's authentic, and it's genuine. Yeah. And that's missing from a lot of what you see out there today. So if you are looking for that next step and you want to actually join somebody that knows what they're doing, and I wouldn't have someone on this podcast that doesn't know what they're doing, plug in, hit them up, and grow with the team that's going to help you grow and become the man you've always wanted to become. That's the trick to life, right? Or the woman you've always wanted to become. Yes, sir. Texas market, we're going to freaking take over. Man, we're just running, man. We're running. We're not going to stop. Texas. Let's go. There's a lot of homes to be had over there. Let's go. A lot of sun. Later. Let's go.